You know that feeling like when you're sprinting on a treadmill for an hour?
Oh, yeah, just completely exhausted and dripping sweat.
Right, sweating through your shirt, and then you look down and realize you haven't actually moved a single inch forward.
It is the absolute worst feeling.
It really is. Well, today we are looking at an ancient text that argues your entire career, your social standing, and honestly, all your daily anxieties are essentially that exact same treadmill.
Yeah, it's a pretty intense comparison.
It is. So, welcome, fellow curious learner, to a deep dive that investigates a really profound, somewhat unsettling mystery. Why are we all so universally exhausted, and what is the actual root cause of our discontent?
Which is a huge question to tackle.
Definitely. And to do it, we are examining a translated text by Sui Feng, edited by Kinyu. It's titled Chapter of Celestial Cultivation, Article 3, Less Selfishness and Fewer Desires, Unshaken by Favor or Disgrace.
I know that title sounds...
Yeah, it sounds like esoteric mysticism meant for, like, a monk on a mountain somewhere.
Right, totally. But the reality is, this text is a razor-sharp, painfully accurate diagnosis of modern hustle culture.
Exactly. It forces us to ask this huge question. What if the relentless pursuit of success is precisely the mechanism keeping us from our ultimate potential? So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, to understand the text's critique of our modern exhaustion, we first have to look at the fundamental anatomy of life that it proposes.
Right.
The author basically argues that our understanding of what it means to be alive is completely backward. According to this framework, life is made of two distinct but interacting parts.
Okay, what are they?
First, there is the hun, which represents the spirit, the mind, the consciousness.
Yeah.
And second, there's the po, which is simply the physique. It's the material carrier, basically the physical body.
So hun is mind, po is body.
Exactly. And the text notes that immortality cultivators, those people dedicated to elevating their existence to a higher state, they prioritize refining the hun, the spirit.
While paying just like moderate, sensible attention to the po.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I was thinking about this, and it's kind of like a computer system.
I like that.
Yeah, because your physical body, the po, is just the hardware. You have to do basic maintenance so it doesn't physically break down, obviously.
Right, you got to charge the battery.
Exactly, keep it clean. But the spirit, the hun, that's the operating system. It's where the actual computing and growth happen.
That is a perfect way to look at it, because if you have terrible software, it doesn't matter if your laptop is made of brushed aluminum, it's still going to crash.
Yeah, the bad software eventually breaks the hardware. But, I mean, this brings up a massive contradiction for me.
What's that?
Well, if the spirit, the software, is the actual essence of life, why is our entire global economy built around polishing the hardware? Like, why are we so terrified of neglecting the material world?
That is the big question.
Yeah.
And the author answers that by asking us to look at what they call the bustling streets.
The bustling streets?
Yeah. If you observe the vast, chaotic machinery of human society, you might think you are seeing infinite variety. Thousands of different careers, hobbies, lifestyles.
Sure, it looks super complex from the outside.
Right. But the text strips all of that away. It argues you are really only observing two types of people, those chasing fame and those chasing wealth.
Wow, just two.
Yeah, it treats the entire spectrum of human ambition as this brutal binary trap.
And the text uses these traditional proverbs to show how deeply wired this trap actually is. Like one of the quotes is, "Man dies for wealth, birds die for food."
Which is such a striking image.
It's a brutal leveling of human sophistication, honestly, because, a bird doesn't understand the concept of a trap.
Right.
It just sees a scattering of seeds on the ground and operates on pure caloric instinct. So the author is kind of implying that when you say, accept a job you hate just for a massive bonus, you aren't being this sophisticated economic actor.
You're just the bird.
You're the bird. You don't see the spiritual degradation, you just see the paycheck.
Oh, that's so true. And the second proverb the author cites addresses the fame side of the binary. It goes, a wild goose leaves its cry behind, a person leaves their name behind.
Because we have this desperate, almost pathological need for legacy.
Exactly. We want our names to echo after we are gone. But the text identifies this desire for power and rank, not as a noble pursuit, but as an abyss. It's an engine of total insatiability.
And the author has such a brilliant way of describing the slippery slope of that insatiability. It's hedonic adaptation in its purest form.
Oh, totally.
The text notes that people will gain an inch and crave a mile. And then it uses my favorite image from the whole reading, Someone gets a raincoat, and immediately they demand an umbrella.
Yes, the raincoat and the umbrella.
I mean, think about it. You are perfectly protected from the elements in the raincoat. The fundamental problem of the rain is solved.
Wait, you're dry.
But the exact moment the baseline need is met, the ego invents a new deficit. Suddenly, wearing a raincoat feels, I don't know, pedestrian.
Yeah, you feel like you're missing out.
And now you require the luxury of an umbrella to feel satisfied.
And that psychological mechanism, it scales all the way up to the absolute highest echelons of society.
How so?
Well, the text points out that a person becomes a minister, and immediately they eye the throne. There is literally no mathematical point of satiation in the material realm.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, it's a raging fire. And the text warns that those who perish in it rarely return. It actively blinds our wisdom. It drives the deceit, the corporate fraud, the exploitation we see every single day.
Because the pursuit of the umbrella eventually leads to, well, self-inflicted suffering, or what the text calls self-dug graves.
Exactly, self-dug graves.
You know, it's incredibly easy for us to sit here and for the listener to nod along and judge the greedy politician eyeing the throne.
Sure, it's easy to point fingers at that.
Or the corrupt CEO committing fraud to buy a third yacht.
Yeah.
We safely categorize that as bad ambition. But the text doesn't let us off the hook that easily, does it?
No, it really doesn't. It actually casts a much wider net.
Yeah.
It challenges behaviors and sacrifices that our society usually applauds as noble.
Right.
And this is where the text introduces a fascinating and honestly highly controversial hierarchy of sacrifice.
Yeah, this part is wild.
It outlines 8 levels of how people expend their lives. So at the very bottom, a petty person sacrifices themselves for profit.
Okay, makes sense.
Moving up, scholars sacrifice for fame, scientists for knowledge, great men for achievements, ordinary people for their families, politicians for their country, saints for the world.
And then at the top.
And finally, at the very top, celestials sacrifice themselves for the Tao.
Okay, time out, because I really have to push back on this framework for a second.
Go for it.
Looking at that list, it feels actively offensive to modern sensibilities, like grouping a petty person chasing a quick buck into the exact same overarching paradigm as an ordinary parent sacrificing for their family, or literal saint sacrificing for the world.
I know, it sounds harsh.
Why is the text treating a loving mother or a global humanitarian as if they are caught in the exact same illusion as a greedy stockbroker?
Because the text isn't actually measuring morality, it is measuring attachment.
Attachment, okay.
Yeah, from the perspective of celestial cultivation, any anchor to the transient material world is a tether that prevents spiritual liberation.
Oh, wow.
It really doesn't matter if society codes the attachment as selfish, like profit, or noble, like saving the world. If your internal peace is entirely dependent on the state of the world, you are still letting the external uncontrollable environment dictate your internal frequency.
So you're still playing the game of the bustling streets, just on I guess, a more socially acceptable game board.
Precisely. You are pouring your hun, your spirit, into fixing the po, the material conditions of the world. And true cultivation, the text argues, requires curbing those attachments entirely.
Okay, I think I'm getting it.
The ultimate state is the celestial, who sacrifices themselves only for the Tao, which is the unnameable fundamental truth of the universe, entirely free from human constructs of borders, families, or worldly achievements.
Right. And to explain how we get so tangled in these worldly attachments in the first place, the author brings in quotes from Laozi, the ancient philosopher.
Oh, yeah, co-colors.
Yeah. Laozi says, "The 5 colors blind the eyes, the 5 tones deafen the ears, the 5 flavors dull the palate, hunting and galloping madden the mind, and rare treasures cause harmful actions."
It's so relevant today.
It really is. Think about your own digital life right now, when you are constantly bombarded by the brightest colors on your phone screen, the loudest media, the richest processed foods. Your baseline sensitivity is just destroyed.
It creates complete sensory and psychological numbness.
Yeah.
And when the baseline is destroyed, you require increasingly extreme input just to register a feeling. You know, you need a bigger controversy on Twitter, a spicier food, a more expensive purchase.
Which ties directly back to the raincoat and the umbrella.
Exactly. The pursuit of extreme sensory or emotional input literally maddens the mind. It separates you further from your innate spiritual quietude.
And to combat this numbness, the text offers these incredibly powerful grounding metaphors to help us reset our baseline.
They're beautiful metaphors.
Like it points out 1,000 acres of fertile land, yet one only sleeps on 8 feet of it at night.
So true.
You could legally own an entire valley, But your physical body still only occupies a tiny, finite rectangle of space when you close your eyes.
Yeah.
The other 999 acres aren't serving your physical life at all. They are purely serving your ego's need for control.
And the author follows that with another observation about birds. Basically, birds in a forest only need a single branch to rest.
Just one branch.
Right. The entire forest is available, but one branch is mathematically sufficient for survival and peace. The text forces us to look at our own scrawling lives and ask, what is all this excess actually doing for us other than generating anxiety?
Right. Like, why do we strive so relentlessly for the whole forest?
Exactly.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the text isolates the exact psychological mechanism driving all that striving. We do it because we want favor, and we are terrified of disgrace.
Yes. The fear of disgrace is huge.
We want the promotion, the applause, the social media likes, but the author introduces what might be the most counterintuitive argument in the entire philosophy.
Which is?
That rejoicing in favor and despairing in disgrace are purely concerns of the secular mind. And more importantly, receiving favor is actually a form of servitude.
Yeah, the phrase the text uses there is subjugated identity.
Subjugated identity.
When you receive favor from someone like a boss, a mentor, an audience, you immediately adopt a subjugated role. You become a hostage to maintaining that favor.
I mean, if you are thrilled because an algorithm or an employer gave you a gold star, you have just handed them the remote control to your emotional state.
That's a great way to put it. You are now their servant.
Right, because your baseline happiness requires them to keep pressing the favor button. You will twist your behavior, compromise your time, exhaust your spirit, just to ensure they don't take the favor away.
Which is exactly why the text argues that losing favor or suffering disgrace is actually a return to one's true self.
Really? Because disgrace feels awful.
It does, but think about it. When the favor is removed, the artificial identity you constructed to maintain it just collapses. The remote control is broken. You no longer have to perform for the external gaze.
Wow. But the text does issue a severe warning about the emotional extremes caused by living on this pendulum, right? The swinging between favor and disgrace.
Oh, definitely.
It points out that those who bask in favor become arrogant, they lose touch with reality, and the text explicitly states they often abet wrongdoing and harm the virtuous simply to protect their favored status.
We see this constantly.
All the time. In corporate environments, political environments, people just compromising their core ethics just to stay in the good graces of whoever holds power.
Yeah, and conversely, those who suffer disgrace often become despondent, they lose their will, and they pathetically beg for mercy.
Which is so sad.
But both reactions, the arrogance in victory and the despair in defeat, they are both signs of profound servility. They prove that the external world owns you.
Right.
The ultimate danger, the author stresses, is that being violently shaken by honor and disgrace destroys your heavenly nature.
Your innate self.
Exactly. If you lose this, you risk becoming a hollowed-out shell, basically neither truly human nor spirit, just blindly reacting to the inputs of the bustling streets.
Okay, so if we aren't supposed to care about fame, we aren't supposed to care about wealth.
Right.
We shouldn't rejoice when we are praised, and we shouldn't be devastated when we are criticized. We shouldn't even attach our ultimate well-being to saving the world.
Sounds impossible, right?
It does. So what does this all mean? How does a person actually function in society with this mindset?
Well, the text provides a definitive strategy for navigating existence. Non-competition.
Non-competition.
Yeah. The hallmark of the celestial mindset is a radical refusal to play the game on society's terms. The author writes, because he does not compete, no one in the world can contend with him.
Let's really analyze the mechanics of that, because I feel like it's easy to misinterpret.
Oh, very easy.
Non-competition doesn't mean quitting your job, moving to a cave, and becoming a literal doormat for people to walk all over. It's an internal posture. Like the quote, "If I do not contend with you, then what is there for you to contend against?"
Yes.
Think of it like a high-stakes game of tug-of-war. Your boss, your rival, the culture at large, they are all pulling furiously on one end of the rope.
And they expect you to pull back.
Exactly. They expect you to defend your ego, to fight for your umbrella.
And the moment you pull back, you are locked into their paradigm. You are expending your hun, your vital spirit, just to maintain tension on the rope.
Right. So what's the alternative?
Non-competition is the act of simply opening your hands and dropping the rope.
Dropping the rope.
Yeah, the person on the other end who is pulling with all their might against your ego suddenly falls flat on their back. Their resistance has nowhere to go. You have actively neutralized the conflict without throwing a single punch.
You just step completely outside the arena.
Exactly.
The text uses these gorgeous, evocative images to describe what this psychological state of non-resistance actually feels like. It describes different types of celestials, not as literal, magical beings flying through the sky, but as metaphors for emotional mastery.
Yes, like the Taiji and Foshan celestials.
Right, moving with complete freedom. And it mentions the Penglai celestial and the Tianshan celestial, existing like clouds rolling and winds dispersing.
And notice the physics of those
Your
metaphors.
physics.
Yeah, clouds and wind don't fight the mountains they encounter. They just flow over and around them. They move with complete freedom because they possess no rigid form to be broken. They don't attach to a specific shape.
Oh, that's beautiful. The text also mentions the Wuji and Wanian celestials without beginning or end, and the Biyun and Kanghai celestials, pure and unspoiled like the vast ocean.
The ocean is a perfect example.
Because an ocean doesn't panic when a rock is thrown into it, right? It absorbs the impact, it ripples for a moment, and then it returns to stillness. It doesn't hold a grudge against the rock.
What's fascinating here is that this demystifies the entire concept of immortality cultivation in the text.
Yeah.
It isn't about biological eternal life or getting supernatural powers. It is about becoming the absolute master of your own internal frequency.
Which is so much harder, honestly.
It is. The author describes this ultimate state as the ability to observe the drifting white clouds in the autumn moon, carefree and at ease. It is the capacity to witness the blooming and falling of flowers, just coming and going without attachment to either state.
So you can appreciate the profound beauty of the flower blooming without the anxious need to pluck it, to own it, or monetize it. And you can watch it wither and fall to the earth without being emotionally devastated by its loss. Because it's just a flower doing what a flower does.
Right.
Just like favor and disgrace, praise and criticism, wealth and poverty, or just the bustling streets doing what the bustling streets do. They don't have to touch your hun. They don't have to alter your frequency.
That untethered emotional freedom is the heart, the sentiment, and the true realm of celestial beings.
Wow. We have dissected a massive philosophical framework today. I mean, we started with the true anatomy of life, realizing how dangerous it is to let the software of our spirit degrade while we obsessively polish the hardware of our physical status.
We really covered a lot.
We looked at the endless consuming fire of the bustling streets, where gaining a raincoat inevitably breeds the desire for an umbrella.
And we examined the hierarchy of sacrifice, uncovering the uncomfortable truth that even our most socially celebrated noble pursuits can become traps. If they chain our internal peace to external outcomes.
Yeah, we explored the sensory overload that dulls our wisdom and the realization that a single branch is really enough.
Absolutely.
We tackled the illusion of favor, learning that desperately seeking praise is just volunteering for a subjugated identity. And finally, we broke down the profound active power of non-competition, the freedom of becoming like rolling clouds and dispersing wind.
Which leaves you, the listener, with a really vital question to examine in your own life.
What's that?
The text makes it undeniably clear that the engine of our modern society runs on the blazing fire of fame, wealth, and the constant paralyzing fear of disgrace. Everyone around you is gripping a rope, pulling furiously, begging you to pull back so the game can continue.
So look at your calendar, look at your anxieties, your workplace conflicts, your social media habits. What would happen to the power structures in your life, the stress in your body, and the frequency of your spirit if tomorrow you simply decided to drop the rope?
If I do not contend with you, what is there for you to contend against?
You might just realize that stepping off the treadmill doesn't mean you fall behind. It might mean you finally have the energy to realize you possess the whole sky and you only ever needed one branch to rest. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of the self. Take care of your software, and we'll catch you next time.